There comes a moment in the journey when something subtle begins to change. At first, awakening feels like discovery. You encounter new ideas, new perspectives, new questions about the world around you. The mind becomes active, searching, connecting pieces, trying to understand how everything fits together. This stage is loud, not externally but internally. Thoughts move quickly, questions multiply. The mind tries to assemble meaning from fragments. Many people stay in this stage for a long time. They gather information, they debate ideas, they try to convince others. But eventually something different begins to happen. The search slows down, not because there is nothing left to learn, but because the signal inside begins to stabilize. This is the phase that very few people recognize. The stabilization phase. It does not feel dramatic. There are no sudden revelations. Instead, there is quiet clarity. You start noticing that the need to explain yourself disappears. The urge to convince others fades. You begin to understand something important. Truth does not need force. Truth does not need defense. Truth simply needs coherence. When a mind becomes coherent, its actions become precise. You speak less, but your words carry more weight. You act calmly, but your decisions influence more people, because coherence is contagious. When one person becomes stable in their thinking and presence, it subtly affects the environment around them. Other people begin to feel it, not always consciously, but they sense the difference. They sense calm where there was once tension. They sense clarity where there was once confusion. This is how real change begins, not through pressure, not through loud declarations, but through precise alignment. History often hides this truth. We are taught that transformation happens through dramatic events, revolutions, speeches, movements. But if you look closely, you will notice something interesting. The real shifts begin quietly. Before a new era appears in the world, it first stabilizes in a few minds. Those minds begin acting differently. They stop reacting emotionally to every disturbance. They stop chasing every distraction. They begin focusing on what truly matters. And slowly their presence begins to organize the space around them. This is why the stabilization phase is powerful. It creates internal gravity. Instead of forcing reality to change, you become aligned with the direction that reality is already moving. When that happens, your actions stop feeling like resistance. They begin feeling like flow. Decisions become easier. Conflicts become simpler. Even uncertainty becomes easier to navigate. Because when the mind becomes stable, it stops amplifying chaos. It starts filtering it. In a world full of noise, this becomes rare. Many people are constantly reacting to news, to opinions, to emotions. But the stabilized mind observes first, responds second, and reacts only when necessary. This quiet discipline changes everything. Because when a person learns to operate from clarity instead of reaction, they become difficult to manipulate. They become difficult to destabilize. They become steady. And steadiness has influence, not loud influence, but deep influence, the kind that spreads slowly, a conversation that plants a seed, a calm response that diffuses conflict, a decision that guides others toward clarity. Most people will not notice when this process begins, but they will notice its effects. Over time, patterns shift, communities evolve, perspectives change, and new possibilities emerge, not because someone forced them, but because enough people reached coherence. And once coherence settles into a system, the system reorganizes itself. This is the quiet mechanism behind many of history's turning points. The visible events come later. The real shift happens before them. Inside minds that learn to move with precision instead of noise. So if you ever feel that the path has become quiet, if the urgency to prove something disappears, if your thoughts become slower but clearer, do not mistake that for stagnation. It is stabilization, and stabilization is where the real influence begins. Because once precision settles, the timeline adjusts quietly but inevitably.